Shalom. Okay. Hey, look at the time. 144. All praise, glory and the highest honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kadash. Double honor to elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom. To the hopeful elect of Hebrew Israelites, this is Brother Araki coming back with a lesson. And this is fair use copyright disclaimer. I'm using this content for educational purposes, criticism and commentary, not for monetary purposes. So this is from the MRO network. Ice-T on witnessing his parents pass away and being introduced to LA gang culture. This gang culture, this gangbanging culture. Nowadays, what you have, the YNs, and the Chicano culture. This is all just part of the curses, man. Okay, which what you're looking at in the screen is most likely to Judite men. And this is the curses, man. So without even checking this video, this just made me think of the Deuteronomy chapter 28, the curses. So we're gonna go there, but first let's listen.
A lot of people, like I said, don't know your story. Where's the whole story? The rapper, the artist, whatever. So I want to start from the beginning. And starting from the beginning is, Little Ice. Where was you born? What was the family? And let's start it from there.
I mean, real quickly, I was born in Newark, New Jersey. My mother and father, my mother was a very fair-skinned black lady. She was from New Orleans. They was Creole, you know, and that's where you get a lot of light-skinned black people with light eyes. But my father was your complexion. So therefore, back in the 50s, people looked at them like they were interracial marriage. So my mother got to hear white people talk about black people in front of her because she could pass. Back in those days, they said you could pass, you're very fair skinned. So that's why all racism went out the window in my household. My mother said that's just stupid. My father, with everybody. So
that's not in the Bible. In the Bible, it's written that Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Those are both nations. Jacob is the Israelites, Esau is the Edomites. That's racism. It's in the Bible. The Most High allows it. So of course, you gotta play your, as the scriptures say, if it be possible, be at peace with every man. But how when the kingdom is gonna be set up, you're gonna see a whole lot of racism, Ice-T, and you're gonna be enjoying it as an Israelite.
I never had a bit of racism in me because it was taught out of me early. Like, don't ever look at anybody and decide who they are by what they look like, So I always say I judge the devil by his deeds. I watch people closely. And I always knew that the person that looked most likely would probably be the one to stab me in the back. And the person that looked least likely would probably be the one to drag me out of a burning building. So
that's not the history. How did your dark-skinned father and his ancestors end up on America, dude? But this dude is a goofball, but it's all good, man.
That early in my life was like I wasn't really connected in race to anything. My mother passed when I was in the 3rd grade. My father died when I was in the 7th grade. My mother died from a heart attack. I was with her when we were watching Batman back in the day, black and white TV, black Batman, and my mother leaned her head back and she was having a heart attack. In those days, they just moved the kids away, meaning kids didn't go to funerals or anything like that back in the day. Like they just move you over to an aunt and they shelter you away from it,
from the pain,
from all of it. And when my mother passed, I remember a cold moment though. After the funeral, family members came back to our house and they would allow me to be there after, and my relatives stole my mother's clothes. her minks and shit. My father was hot. But and that was a quick lesson that like don't trust anybody.
Trust no one. Nah.
Curses, man. The curses. I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 28 in a bit.
You know what's crazy, man? I'll tell you a quick one in my world that I didn't understand it.
But by the way, this dude, Ice-T, okay, he a complete bug out, because he said in the beginning that, the people that look like him, the first to pretty much put him in a shit position, and the people that don't look like him is the first to take him away. So this is a complete bug out. So he's saying, pretty much that he's kind is the problem. So this is a crap load of self-hatred, man, with this dude right here. Okay, which of course he fair-skinned, but he a Negro, so-called Negro. He an Israelite. Okay, most likely a Judite, but he on that Stockholm syndrome. Of course, we understand that 2/3 they are a problem, they are a fucking problem, but he's one of them. But if you look at how Yahweh Shai looks, that's a so-called black man, who is going to help and save the elect of Hebrew Israelites. I wonder if Ice-T thinks that the Son of the Most High look like so-called white Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be surprised.
And shit, my father was hot. But and that was a quick lesson that like don't trust anybody.
Trust no one. Nah. You know what's crazy, man? I'll tell you a quick one in my world that I didn't understand it. My mom died from an aneurysm later on in life. We in the hospital. She's still on a machine, and my dad's grabbing a finger, and everybody crying. And he's trying
to pull that diamond off.
He's trying to pull the ring off, and he said, "They ain't robbing my wife right here." And then he was like, "I should take the wig," and I said, "It's crazy, man." But
no, it's crazy, and you let people in your house. You're mourning a death. But now they're wandering through the house, and their attitude is, "Well, she don't need this no more."
It's a fact.
But it really hurt my father to see that, and I seen him like I'm a kid. I'm watching this. I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy." And then my father passed. I was in the 7th grade, and they called me into the principal's office, and everybody had those faces on, like so. And the cold thing is, when my mother died, I didn't cry. I was just kind of like off balance. Like every time this happened, I'm like, so what's gonna happen to me? Same there.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, you're a kid. You're like, what's gonna happen? So then that moved. When my father passed, I was like, so what's gonna happen to me? So I had an aunt that his sister, and then that summer they sent me to L.A. And at L.A. I moved in with a sister of his that I never met. And I had 2 cousins out there. They were grown. They had just got out of high school. So in comes a kid in the 8th grade that she got to take care of.
From Jersey.
Yeah. And up to that point, I was not no bad kid. I never was involved in nothing. I was just a kid. I mean, people say, "Oh, yeah, well, I was 12 years old. I was selling coke." No, I was still just...
You was a good kid.
Basically, I ain't gotten in nothing yet. I might have stole a bike or some shit. But I ain't gotten busy. So I got to L.A., and I got bused to Palms Junior High School, which is in Culver City. I lived in View Park, which is a very upscale area of Los Angeles. It's above Crenshaw, up on the west side. If you're on the west side of Crenshaw, it's like, so nice area. And my aunt was a social worker, and she's also alcoholic. So she's out there deciding who gets to be in what.
So she threw. This just the curses, man. This is so much fucking confusion, bro. Babylon. So she through
foster homes and coming home getting smashed. So I was kind of like, I didn't like it there. I didn't like it there. But I did 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade there. Now when I got to to high school, I was like, I don't want to bus because they were back then there was integration, forced integration. So they were taking kids out of the hood and moving them into white junior high school. I didn't have a problem with the white junior high school. I had a great time there. You know, when we would get off the bus, the girls treat us like the Jackson Five.
You know, hey, that's, you see, that's in the scriptures, bro. We're gonna get them heathen woman, bro. If you look at last week's Elder Apostles Street Ministry, Saturday, 25th July, you look at the last 5 minutes, they're just, you know, looking at these different heathen women, you know, the Ukrainian woman, the Moabite woman, how in the kingdom, you know, we're gonna boast ourselves in the spoils of the heathen, okay, which includes the woman. And even when we was in slavery in America, you had still this Edomite woman that was looking at Jake in the plantations. You know what I'm saying?
Off the bus, it was like cool, and the little white girls liked us, and the white boys didn't have a problem with us.
Everything was good.
It was no racism over there. It was cool. I mean, I think the kids were too. See, the thing of it is, this racist shit hits adulthood.
Yeah,
kids really don't engage in it unless they taught it.
Let me get the scripture to show that he's full of shit with that statement. If that was so, why then in the belly of Rebecca, Jacob and Esau was wrestling, and they was different race? If they of course they wasn't taught racism because they were in the womb. They hadn't come out of the damn matrix. They hadn't come out of the you know, outside of their mother, and they was already going at it. See, that dude is Ice-T. He bugged out. He all the way bugged out. He's a 2/3, you know. Genesis 25 and 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord Yahweh for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh. And the Lord Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. See, this is racism. This is one race being favored, you know, compared to the other. This is from the Most High. This is what Yahweh said. It says, and the Lord Yahweh said. So Ice-T is full of diarrhea. Okay. Ice-T is full of soft poop.
You know, so the kids was cool. Everybody was cool. But I didn't want to catch the bus because it added another hour to everyday school. So I wanted to walk to Crenshaw. When I got to Crenshaw, it was culture shock.
That's when it all kicked in.
Yeah, welcome to the gangs. Welcome to, you know, at the time, it was 1973. So this is the era of Tookie, Cutes, and all the big gangs.
One thing I gotta say about Tookie, that motherfucker was big. That motherfucker was big, man. Okay, there's a song by Stickman from Dead Press. Okay, back on my regiment, trying to get swole like Tookie with it, man. That dude was big, man. Natural or not, but yeah, of course you shouldn't take no damn steroids, but that motherfucker Tookie was big.
Gangbangers that was, you know, Raymond Washington. This is when the real gang was happening. And I'm not sure if Raymond had got killed yet, but it was right there. I think he might have happened in 72, but 73, that's when I got to Crenshaw. And the gangs have already joined up because they weren't coming from Audubon, they're coming from Bethune, they're coming from Horace Mann, the other black junior highs.
Okay.
So when I get there, I'm coming from another area. So I immediately said, it don't make any sense for me to join a gang because I'm not really from any.
Either part.
See, people don't understand is you're not in a gang, you're from a gang.
It's where you live.
It's where you live.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you say you live on 65th, you in the 60s, you is 60, just by where you live.
Where you live, yeah.
Now, whether you're an active gang member or you're just an affiliate, you're going to understand the rules of that particular gang.
With that gang in the neighborhood.
Right. So rolling 60s was really Crenshaw High School is in the 60s hood, right? So you got 60s, then you had Hoovers, then you had who were Hoover Crips at the time. Now they're Hoover Criminals. You had ATGs, which are 8 Trade Gangsters, because that's 83rd Street. You had Harlem Crips, which are the 30s. There were no 40 gang. There's a gang now, the 40s, but there weren't 40s at the time. So you got all these gangs around you. Now the Bloods, there were Brims in Crenshaw, but they moved out. They went to Manual Arts. They went to Dorsey. They kind of like evacuated the school. So it was a Crip school. So pretty much in that school, due to my time, went from the whole gang lifestyle to starting getting into the hustler lifestyle, like the cats in the school. There were other cats in the school. You had the gangbangers.
That was one culture.
You got the other players. These cats is wearing Fila, shooting dice, perms. Got a different look going, more about the women and stuff. So I was always light skinned. I had light eyes, so I was more familiar with that.
With that lifestyle.
I said I could be over here with these players, so I started hanging out with them and the players and the hustlers. Because at the time, gang membership was not about money. If there was money, it was just them jacking you for your leather coat or
whatever. More turf, right? More.
Yeah. Later on, when I got out of high school, that's when coke hit, and that's when the gangs became money. But when I was in high school, the gangs weren't as much about money. So I needed some money, you know what I'm saying? So by the time I got to the 12th grade, I left my aunt's house. I was getting $250 Social Security from my parents. And I told her, I said, yo, give me this money, I'll be out of here. She said, you can't live off $250. I said, sign this check. So she signed a check over to me. I found an apartment over by Manual Arts on Kansas Avenue for $100 a month. There was a paper called The Recycler.
And how old was you then? You were 16?
17.
17, yeah.
About to turn 18. I was in 12th grade. I said, I found it. So I went to the guy, old cat. The apartment was no bigger than this area right here.
Even still, that shows the inflation. He was able to get a crib for $100 a month. Of course, small place, yeah. But in LA, a crib for $100 a month. And now how it is, man, I was in San Diego last summer. Brothers was telling me in the city center downtown, you get a small ass studio, fucking pay $4,000 a month, man.
And I told him I needed a place to stay. I said, I got money coming in. He says, you too young, this, that, and the third. I said, here's the deal. I'll have this check come to you. My Social Security
check,
come to you, and you give me the difference.
$150.
Yeah. So now he was secure with how he was going to get the money, and we had a deal. So I that was like the first business deal I cut.
Transaction.
Like,
yeah, you've been good. You wrong, man. You've been good at business from young, though.
Okay. So, let me go to Genesis 28. The curses, man. So the story kind of got cut short, but you can imagine the rest, man. He needed money. So what happened? Now he in them streets, man. Deuteronomy, and what's that? Jake killing each other. That's all in Issachar land, all in the Northern Kingdom land, South America, Central South America. It's because our people going through these curses, man. Deuteronomy 28:15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And this happened. And we are still under these curses. But if you read Lamentation 4, 21, 22, then you're going to see that we're going to be out of these curses quite soon. And the curse is going to be transferred to Edomites and the other nations. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Let me go here. So yeah, that's what going on in them streets, man. Jake just, full of curses, fucking Walking Dead. Let me just go through the NLT. Your towns and your fields will be cursed. Your fruit baskets and bread boards will be cursed. The finances of Jake often has difficulty with the finances, that's part of the curses. Your children and your crops will be cursed. The offspring of your herds and flocks will be cursed. Doesn't that sound like curses? Your mother died when you 11 years old. Then when you 15, your father passed away. Okay. That's the curses, bro. And then you gotta live with your aunt who's an alcoholic. You go to school full of gangbangers, gang members. That's a fucking curse, bro. that's not a good and positive and fruitful and abundant high frequency, high vibrational environment to grow in. That's tragedies, this misery, curses. Wherever you go and whatever you do, you will be cursed. The Lord Yahweh Himself will send on you curses, confusion, and frustration in everything you do, until at last you are completely destroyed for doing evil and abandoning me. The Lord Yahweh will afflict you with diseases until none of you are left in the land you are about to enter and occupy. See, we are not in the land of Israel no more. Sure, you have some of our people among the small hunters, but for the most part, we're not there. Okay, let me just read some verses here and there, always in the NLT. So, verse 25, the Lord Yahweh will cause you to be defeated by your enemies. You will attack your enemies from one direction, but you will scatter from them in seven. You will be an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. Which the other nations like to make fun of us, but it's temporary. Verse 28, the Lord Yahweh will strike you with madness, blindness, and panic. Verse 30, you will be engaged to a woman, but another man will sleep with her. You will build a house, but someone else will live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will never enjoy its fruit. You see, curses. Verse 32, you will watch as your sons and daughters are taken away as slaves. Your heart will break for them, but you won't be able to help them. Transatlantic slave trade. Verse 37, you will become an object of horror, ridicule, and mockery among all the nations to which the Lord Yahweh sends you. You see? But in the Revelation it says, reward them double. And on also Deuteronomy, I believe, is 30 and 7. I'll go there real quick. It says, I'm keeping the end of the Deuteronomy 30 and 7. The Lord your power will inflict all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate and persecute you. So the curse is not going to stay on us forever. Verse 46, these horrors will serve as a sign and warning among you and your descendants forever. So we know by these signs that we the people. You look at the small hatters, they're not going through this hell. Okay, let me just get a couple of more verses. Verse 54, the most tender-hearted man among you will have no compassion for his own brother, his beloved wife, and his surviving children. You know, just complete savagery amongst our people. That's the curses. Verse 56, the most tender and delicate woman among you, so delicate she would not so much as touch the ground with her foot, will be selfish toward the husband she loves and toward her own son or daughter. So this actually a very major curse that our women are bugged the fuck out. As Elder Apostle Taha said, if a woman would be in order, it wouldn't really be a huge problem. You know, let's put it this way: everything would be much calmer, and everything would be much more cool. Let's put it that way. Verse 54 for the 64, for the Lord Jehovah will scatter you among all the nations from one end of the earth to the other. There you will worship foreign powers that neither you nor your ancestors, foreign gods, false gods, that neither you nor your ancestors have known, gods made of wood and stone, which are not real gods, not real powers. There among those nations you will find no peace or place to rest. And the Lord Jehovah will cause your heart to tremble, your eyesight to fail, and your soul to despair. You see? Verse 66, your life will constantly hang in the balance. You will live night and day in fear, unsure if you will survive. In the morning you will say, if only it were night, that you make it there. And in the evening you will say, if only it were morning, for you will be terrified by the awful horrors you see around you. See, our people, living in these fucked up cartel cities in, Mexico and Colombia, Central America, is wild. Okay, then the verse 68 is going into the transatlantic slave trade. So, in this video, I just went over some of the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and Ice-T quick interview. But in the kingdom, we're going to have all these blessings that you can read from Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 until the verse 14. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. On to the next one, Shalom.